Former NFL head coach Eric Mangini joins the program and the conversation and all of it. How's it going, Coach?
Fantastic.
Yeah? Enjoying the warmth here in New York City?
Beautiful.
Balmy. Balmy 12 outside. All right, Coach, let's talk about the Super Bowl. Rams defensive coordinator Wade Phillips is certainly no stranger to Tom Brady. This will be the 10th meeting, including playoffs, between the two, with Brady owning his 6-3 record. So it should come as no surprise that Wade Phillips says, quote, "You cannot fool the great quarterbacks. You have to outplay them." Coach, how do you think Wade Phillips plans to prepare his team to outplay Tom Brady on Sunday?
Well, the one thing that happens all during the course this week is there's a lot of bouquets that are going to be thrown out to guys, and there's a lot of things that people are going to say about how great somebody is, and look, nobody's telling the truth. You have to give Tom Brady something different. You have to. You have no chance to just line up and play and beat him, because if he knows what you're in, he's going to go to the right spot. And we've seen that over and over again, going back and watching Kansas City and even the week before.
The Charger game.
Yeah, it was just a mismatch because guys were wide open based off of pre-snap read and coverage. And I think Wade will mix some things in. I went back and watched a little bit of their Houston playoff game. It was a while ago, but there was some variation there. There were linemen that were standing up. They walked guys around. And when you look at the Rams defense, there is some certainty in it. And Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh, you can get them into certain places. I would think that they would try to switch that up some, because you can then slide the protection, which means bring the center over to get 3-on-2 on those guys. Same things with the corners. If you always know that you've got Talib on your right and Peters on your left, you can create some matchups there, and that's something that they're gonna have to switch and adjust. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem.
I would do a number of things, 3 things if I'm going to switch up things if I'm Wade. And one has to do with what you're talking about. In last year's Super Bowl, Philadelphia was able to get to Tom Brady often. Late in the game, what did Jim Schwartz do? He moved Brandon Graham from being inside a defensive tackle. What you're talking outside, he makes the biggest play as a defensive end, typically lining up inside the cavity. This time lined up left outside more so than he would be. He gets to Tom Brady, create the sack. In Ndamukong Suh, we have seen sometime during the regular season, Coach, he has played that left defensive end, and he has caused problems. So look for him, because New England's best offensive linemen are their center and their 2 guards. Their weakest, left and the right tackle. So I could see that being a problem. Also, I'm going to blitz the linebackers more so than any other game, because I don't want Sony Michel, I don't want James White out in pass protection. One of the liabilities out in pass routes. I don't want the linebackers of the Rams covering them in space. If you look about one of the liabilities of that defense, their pass coverage of their linebackers. And I'm going to take Talib, and I'm putting him on Edelman all over the field. Edelman likes to play a rough and tumble game. Talib is built for that. Edelman likes to talk trash. He won't talk trash to Talib. So I believe that I could negate him, and then I'll put coverage and matchups to the other side. But those are 3 things that I'm going to do to give Tom Brady some different looks than what we've had during the regular season.
And one thing that you said when after the Chiefs fired Bob Sutton, and they were talking about bringing in Rex Ryan or bringing in whomever as defensive coordinator, we talked about how
Coach Mangini. They should have brought in Coach Mangini.
Absolutely. I think they were going to. They heard all the bad stuff he said about Pat Mahomes, cross the name off the list.
That'd be right. Okay. That decision-making process would make total sense.
And so, but you were almost dumbfounded that the Chiefs never sent one more than the Pats could block.
How many 3rd and 10s did they have?
They had 3 3rd and 10s in overtime. Didn't send one heavy blitz where you've got to get the ball out quick, make a decision. And that I know that for a long time, blitzing Tom Brady was a recipe to lose. Over the last few years, teams have been able to blitz Tom Brady. Even his MVP season last year, the blitz was effective against Tom Brady. What do you think about that? About the Rams, certainly more than Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, sending one more than the Patriots can block and forcing the Pats to get the ball out early?
Well, I don't think it's a function of just one philosophical shift where we're going to blitz more. It's about when you're going to do it, how you're going to mix it in, how you're going to make things unpredictable. Maybe you don't blitz at all in the first half, and then you blitz a lot in the second half. Maybe you blitz a ton in the first half and switch it up that way. Just moving around defensive linemen so there's not certainty from a blocking perspective as to where you're going to go with the ball. I really thought Wade did a nice job of mixing in some double teams on Michael Thomas last week. And I also think he did a great job after the back was hurting him out of the backfield so much in the first half. He started to use the defensive ends to butch him, which means hit him on the way out to slow that down. So I like the adjustments that he made. And I love the fact that he says we're going to have to outplay him, because at the end of the day, they're going to have to outplay him, but they're going to have to mix in enough stuff so that it's not pre-snap reads.
Coach, when he says we have to outplay him, what he's trying to say to people is, I'm trying to teach them things they're comfortable with so they can play fast.
Right.
So it's not as if I want them to be better, because we know Tom's going to play fast. And when he does that, that's what the Chargers got. That's what Kansas City got. But what Wade is trying to say is, I'm going to make sure my guys have whatever we're going to do, we're going to have confidence in it.
And they don't have to be thinking in real time, just reacting to what the situation demands.
And here's the problem. If you're a team that doesn't do a lot of things, if you don't change a lot during the season, to try to change in a big environment can sometimes be detrimental. And what New England will do, I wouldn't be surprised at all if you get a lot of no huddle. They don't have tremendous depth on the defensive line. They've got good players, but they don't bring in a lot of it's totally different than Philly, where they substitute a ton of guys.
Right.
Go fast. Make sure you get up to the line of scrimmage. Force these guys to constantly being on their heels, as opposed to getting down in the dirt and teeing off.
So I have a question about that. When you have, and you talk so much about an identity on offense, when you have an identity on defense, the way Wade Phillips has this defense playing this year, and you also said there are a lot of certainties on this Rams defense, how hard is it to just spend 2 weeks to say, okay, now we're going to switch this up, I'm going to blitz a little bit more, to change who you were and the sort of the bulk of what you do only in those last 2 weeks, and make sure you guys are comfortable doing it?
Well, Wade Phillips, the reason why he's been successful in 4 different decades is because they do different things. They are not just a straight man-to-man team the way Wade has been in the past. Coach mentioned they did some bracket coverages to Michael Thomas. They did some different things we saw in the championship game. We're expecting them. They have variance. Good teams have different variables of what they can do defensively, and that's what Wade and these Rams coach, what we've seen during the regular season.
Yeah, and to your point, that's why a lot of teams go home in the playoffs. There's this bravado of, we do what we do. That's great until someone does what you do better than you do it. Okay. And you have no second pitch. And then some guys will go to extremes and they'll try to adjust too much, and it's overload for their players. I thought Wade had a nice balance, like Chris said, of staying within his system, but still having things that he hadn't brought out as much over the course of the system.
Also, within that system, he's got a guy that's going to line up over your center and nose guard. He's the best we've seen in football in a long time. I'm getting ready to whoop this guy. You don't need no system for it. I'm getting ready to bust this guy upside his head and quarterback with 20 sacks with Aaron Donald at the D tackle spot.
And this is where, like we were talking actually earlier in the LeBron Brady part comparison and talking about their intelligence, this is where smart football players matter, where experienced football players matter, where even if the Rams throughout the season have had basically, we're going to have a relatively speaking vanilla defense, we've got a veteran in Talib, veteran in Sue, veteran in Donald, guys who can, in Ndamukong Suh, even if most of the year has been lining up next to Aaron Donald, we've seen him at times go outside and play defensive end, and he's done that in his past. Aqib Talib's been asked to do a lot of different things en route to winning a Super Bowl in the past, as far as we need your best against their best, even if it's not what you're most comfortable with. So you not only need the athletes, you need the guys who can handle it as far as mentally, and Wade Phillips had his ability to adjust within the game.